Yes. Well, here we are now in the hut where I write. I've been in this hut for 30 years now. Well, it's important. Before I start, I like to make sure I have everything around me that I'm going to need. Cigarettes, of course, some coffee, chocolates, and always make sure I have a sharp pencil before I start. I have 6 pencils, and then I like to clean my writing board. So many bits of rubber. There. And then finally one starts.
Welcome to the NBA podcast, where each week we explore the rabbit holes and side streets around movies, books, and albums. The departure point for this December road trip bumper episode is Wes Anderson's 2024 retelling of Roald Dahl, in the wonderful story of Henry Sugar and 3 more. Enjoy the podcast. We had a listen from Las Vegas in the last 24 hours.
So now we're talking. They want to fly us in before we're famous.
Yeah, when it was White Russians and Easy Hose.
There we go.
Along with our one person from Azerbaijan, I think we definitely kind of trolling the wrong audience with that title. But maybe we need to use more titles like that going forward.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what did you guys think? What did you guys think of the double header? Wes Anderson on the one side doing Roald Dahl.
Massive fan. Obviously, Wes Anderson is brilliant. Been a fan of him since Roald Tenenbaums. I think his first one was Rushmore. I think that was even a little bit before my time. Yeah, and there was also, was that his first one, or there was one more before it?
Bottle Rocket.
There was Bottle Rocket.
Bottle Rockets.
With old Owen Wilson.
Both Wilson.
Yeah.
Both Wilson brothers.
Both Wilsons, yeah. But apparently Owen Wilson was his roommate, and they wrote the original screenplay together.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a third Wilson brother appears in there, but I think it's just his hand.
Luke.
No, Luke is
Luke's-
the second one. Luke's well known.
Oh, sorry. Oh, third. Oh.
I
Who's the
think there's
third?
Andrew Wilson. I think it might be Andrew.
God. Okay.
I think maybe just his hand appears, or maybe it's Wes Anderson's hand that appears.
He's a hand model. They're a
He's a
different
hand
breed.
model.
Yeah. You face and body boys are a different breed to us hand jockeys.
Yeah, I watched the original Bottle Rocket last night, the
Seriously?
short, which is
Where's it?
which was about
On
10
YouTube?
minutes, and I found it. I was reading an article that it came up on 50 Facts about Wes Anderson or something. It might be on Enemy magazine or something like that, and the original movie comes up, the 10-minute short that they then developed into the full. Yeah, I mean, Owen Wilson looks like about 9 years old.
Yeah.
He looks like the caddy from Happy Gilmore. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's not weird, but that then kickstarted a career, and you look at it and go, "What am I missing that that they saw?"
How did you get from here? How did you get from here to there?
Yeah, I think it was James L. Brooks who sponsored the full version. He's the creator of The Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
So he saw the short version of Bottle Rocket.
Yeah.
And sponsored, gave them enough money to kept the same cast, kept the same writers, obviously Owen Wilson and Wes Anderson, and he paid for them to do the feature-length version. Yeah, so there we go. Could have been
because I always wondered why Owen Wilson was there, because we first met Owen Wilson in Behind Enemy Lines, which was that action movie when he gets shot down from the recon plane. And then next thing we know, he's in Zoolander and he starts playing comedic roles. And then kind of from my side, when you mature enough to start enjoying Wes Anderson, you see Owen Wilson in every single one. And I never understood what the relationship was there, let alone that they were roommates who were writing screenplays together back in the day, which is mad, which is pretty cool though.
Yeah, and they seem to be tight. I mean, both Wilson brothers turned down Ocean's 11 for Royal Tenenbaums.
Seriously?
Really?
Yeah. So that's, well, obviously scheduling, but I don't know if they'd said yes first. But that's a biggie to turn down. Hey, Clooney and Pitt and
that's
all the
quite
stars
significant.
working with my mate.
I assume that they probably would have been playing the Squabbling brothers. Who was it? Was it Casey Affleck and
that's right. Yeah.
Get the other guy's name out.
Yeah, exactly. They were due to play those two brothers.
So
100%.
interesting.
Wow. Okay.
They weren't
Very
meant
cool.
to play the contortionist Asian guy.
No,
Weirdly.
it's strangely enough.
Only one of them. Yeah. They were playing Julia Roberts.
And Andy Garcia.
Yeah. I'm just picturing old Wes Anderson's troupe replacing all the roles in Ocean's 11. David Ayoade, I can't pronounce his surname correctly, and Dev Patel.
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Benedict.
Yeah, no, we've picked a lot of surnames to pronounce, so say them slowly so we can edit them later.
Well, I'm hoping you can fix this in post-production, Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, on talking on that, like, starting from, when was it, like, the late 90s when he started making his movies, I think Roald Tenenbaums was 2001. Yeah. And to kind of, like, see basically how his style starts to take shape. And I mean, I think Roald Tenenbaums was like when his whole style began to really like take shape and start to, and it's just got more refined over the years. And I think what he's found with his short stories in Roald Dahl is like, I mean, it's like the short stories and the way Roald Dahl speaks. I mean, the way that he's done the set design and how it's like a, stage theater, it's like it was made for it.
Yeah, no, it's almost like a very perfect match when you look at it together. So like not last week, was a while ago now, but he was speaking about how Stephen Fry reading P.G. Wodehouse is the way to consume Wodehouse. Yeah. Yes. I think Wes Anderson directing Roald Dahl's stories is okay. I think reading Roald Dahl is still number one, but if you're not going to read it, I think a Wes Anderson film adaptation is absolutely the way to go.
Yeah, and he's obviously got experience with it from, he did the fantastic Mr. Fox as well, and that was brilliant.
So I mean, that's quite incredible the way that and I didn't have time to go into how he forged that relationship with Felicity Dahl, the widow, and he got the rights to Fantastic Mr. Fox. I mean, he was pretty young then to have that relationship, and then based off that to be able to place hold the Henry Sugar story and the other stories, and to kind of have rights to them, just incredible within that estate.
Yeah, that's. I was just thinking of that Fantastic Mr. Fox. Did you see in one of the ones that was the Rat Catcher when he does the stop motion? Is it called stop motion?
I think it was stop motion in the Rat Catcher. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was interesting there as well is that they used real hair and not synthetic fur, so it leaves the fingerprints of I'm not sure if it was real hair or synthetic hair instead of kind of just synthetic fibers, but it leaves the fingerprints of the puppeteer. So when you playing it back, it's not this perfectly seamless image because the hair of the animals is randomly moving when you play it back. But that's what he wanted. He wanted to leave that impression of the puppeteer's manipulation, which kind of clicks with all the stage effects on camera that he does as well. He's inviting you in to kind of see into the wings and to see behind, which is very cool.
Yeah, that's he must have had a lot of fun making those. It's just the random little things, opening doors and hedges, and just some crazy little ideas that came up. And whether it was him or whether it was production designers or whoever it might be, but it looked like fun. It's not for everybody. I don't think those sort of.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
because it makes you feel like you're at the theater almost. It makes you feel that. It makes you feel like you're participating in some way. And I think, because like when you watch those like three movies, it's not trying to create like we've been spoiled with CGI and special effects, and we have these seamless universes that have been created that look absolutely real, like the Marvel universe, for example. It doesn't challenge you to participate or imagine because it's beautifully created it for you. Whereas this is kind of almost completely showing you it's a facade, it's not real, but that almost makes you suspend your disbelief even more. It's just like it makes you kind of get more invested in the story. And when I was watching it, I was thinking, and Dave, you and I have had this discussion a lot, how a lot of our TV consumption becomes the lowest common denominator of it. When you're in a relationship, you end up watching the lowest common denominator together.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, and just like the rat catcher or the swan, like those 20 minutes, like I got more entertainment nourishment than many multiple seasons of things I've watched on Netflix or Mnet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think you actually really have to. I found you have to watch it. Do you know what I mean? So you can't. It's not an easy watch. It's not mindless, as you're probably saying, and probably echoing your thought there. But you're watching more because, the story isn't just bang entertain you type thing. You've got to watch. You want to watch Benedict Cumberbatch's face. You want to watch the rat catcher morphing into a rat, and you want to watch his legs move, how a rat moves, and his little teeth. You know, you're not just staring blankly. You're literally zooming in on the screen to really focus on these. Because, as I said, it's not a bang entertaining. You're not laughing. You're not going, wow. There's no big bangs and
But also, I mean, they're reading directly. They're reading a short story like word for word, you know. So it's the same as you can't be reading the book and like half engaged and half on your phone. You're not going to follow what's happening. Like, there's so much within that short period of time.
Are they? Excuse me. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to read. Are they all word for word? Are they all verbatim?
I don't think they're exactly word for word. And in the one interview with Wes Anderson, he said there was some cutting out to make it more manageable. But I think it's pretty faithful to the original. It hasn't been massively reconstituted. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I wonder if I know we all picked up, I'm sure, the fact that he crashed an aeroplane, because we've gone through that a couple of times.
In the Sahara.
in Libya,
yeah. So it's kind of recurring theme.
Yeah. Every single episode we come back to that. But did you see the Royal Air Force insignia come up in one of the? Was that in the Swan? I think when the kid climbs the tree.
Yeah.
The swan's wings on.
Yeah.
And then he has to jump off the tree or whatever. He falls off or whatever. And the screen just goes black, and in the middle of the screen is just the Royal Air Force insignia.
I did not pick that up.
Back into the picture.
I didn't pick that up either.
Yes, it's subliminal, and maybe I blacked out for a second.
No, I'll go watch it again. That sounds amazing.
I think it was in the Swan, and just suddenly this little Royal Air Force insignia pops up and then just fades out again.
Just maybe like a little nod.
It might have just been a nod to his war record. Don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We'll have to ask Wes. When Wes types in next week as a fan, you can ask him.
When we have Wes and Darren Aronofsky on, we can ask them both.
Yeah.
There's number 5: Black Mamba Boy, The Whale, George of the Jungle, Black Swan, and The Swan.
The Swan.
There we go.
The story's growing.
Do you want to go back to Link, or do you want to keep this for later?
No, let's just flow.
Back to one of our episodes. So Wes Anderson's great-grandfather is the older brother of Edgar Rice Burroughs, who was the creator of Tarzan.
What?
No way.
Nicely done, David. Nicely done.
So his great uncle, for lack of I think that's it. Yeah. So his great grandfather's little brother was Edgar Rice Burroughs, who created Tarzan.
Wow, that is like super cool.
There we go. Which leads us on to George of the Jungle, which leads us on to
great link, David.
Yeah.
I'm kind of visualizing a taxonomy of season 1, where all these things kind of are linked together and are spouting out of each other. It's going to be beautiful. I found a bizarre link. We can get back to the main story now, but why he started links is that Roald Dahl, when he was a little boy, when he was 6, he met Beatrix Potter, who was one of his idols. I'm not quite sure how that meeting came about, but I know that his family had done pretty well for themselves, so there's probably room for connection. But it was turned into a movie in 2020, and the movie was directed by David Kerr.
Oh, look at that.
So now we know why you were
again, Kerr.
Now we know why you were quiet. quite that year.
That's what I was doing. Yeah. That's why I had to stage that whole pandemic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so I could get my movie career up and running.
How you got the inside scoop on Wes Anderson. Yeah.
Great pseudonym to use as well. Hide it in plain sight.
No, absolutely.
There we go. Oh, did you guys go down any of his war history or anything like that? Roald Dahl, not Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson had a very unspectacular war history.
Yeah, there was no war history on his side.
Yes, so
that I'm aware of.
So when I suggested this, I was originally going to suggest Solo his kind of autobiography of that period, or Boy, his childhood, and I ended up actually spending most of my time reading Boy, which is his childhood up until he goes to East Africa. So Boy Boy finishes when he gets the job with the Shell company, and I haven't started Solo yet. But just some things on Boy before we get to Solo, so we can kind of keep a chronological track, if that's cool. So
Absolutely.
I never realized he was first generation Norwegian. So he's 100% Norwegian. I always thought of him as like a quintessential English writer. But then when you realize he's got this like really significant Norwegian influence, it helps understand there's that delicious darkness in his writing, even his children's stories. You know, it's got that Scandinavian film and Scandinavian story and like the original unsanitized Hans Christian Andersen kind of vibe to it. And it makes a lot more sense now.
It is. I mean, he was named after the Norwegian explorer. He was the first guy to reach South Pole. Roald Amundsen, yeah. So even just in his name, he's got that heritage of...
that kind of nominative determinism. We'll name you after someone great, and history will demand great things of you.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he went to like a span of like really, really good private schools. And you can kind of see where like the Trunchbull character comes from, and the witches come from, and this entire like there's a lot of setup in his children's stories around kind of adult characters being antagonistic against your child protagonist. You know, even Matilda, the adults are just kind of awful, besides for Mrs. Lovely. And when you're reading his accounts of his private school experiences, they are just brutal. I mean, the headmasters and their caning just sound absolutely psychopathic. He's got World War I veterans who are shell-shocked and have a whole lot of admin of their own. And you've got kind of prefects who also have their own canes and selection of canes and can beat you for everything and anything. And especially like in The Swan. I mean, The Swan captured that sense of childhood powerlessness, you know, that, you know, it's like so surreal because you have no power and you kind of just have to go along with it and kind of see where it leads you. So you can kind of see where it comes from.
And some of his interviews, I saw him watched an interview on Terry Wogan, and they talk about the beatings at school, and in fact they go on about the Archbishop of Canterbury, the one who crowned Queen Elizabeth.
Yes,
and apparently he was the former headmaster there.
Yeah,
and a brutal bastard by all accounts.
By all accounts, yeah.
Yeah, he said Wogan asks and said, "Were you under a certain headmaster who became the?" He said, "No, if I was, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I'd probably be dead."
Gee whiz.
Telling the nation that the Archbishop of Canterbury is a real bastard.
Man, gee. but and just last couple of things before we move to kind of his war years of being a child. So, I mean, even in the book he writes, when he sits on a hard bench, so this is when he was writing Boy, he can still feel his pulse in his backside because they would take pride in caning on the same spot. So the prefects and the masters would take pride. We're not just caning you, but the lash will hit in exactly the same spot each time. And we know how to pause it long enough so that it hurts you. I did well from scarring or whatever the story is. So he's carried this with him through his entire life, which is wild. But what was really cool was to kind of see and hear, or we'll read, how little things in his life could kind of gestate into the kernels of stories that have kind of carried all of us through. So like, you know, when the rat catcher talks about how licorice is made from rat's blood, he had a friend at school whose dad was a doctor or had some fancy profession. And whenever they were buying sweets, this little guy would say, no, you can't have this sweet because it does this to you. And no, licorice is made from rat's blood. My dad says so.
Oh, wow.
And this is like a little nugget from like class 1, class 2 equivalent that is carried through with him. And like evil woman who ran the sweet stores that they...
Yes, the sweet store lady. Yeah.
Yes, that they terrorized. And like the one wonderful thing was the Cadbury's chocolate factory for real would send all the boys in the school a box of chocolates. And they were test packs effectively. So they would send them one bar of a known brand of Cadbury's chocolate as like a baseline. And then they'd have like bars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And eat the chocolate, rate it, and give it a comment. And that became the seed for Charlie Chocolate Factory, because he would dream about what he would do, which is very cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, he did.
Awesome.
Every interview he always says there's just a little germ, a little kernel of something. But he always starts by calling it a germ.
Nice.
And they said, how do you get your ideas? It's a little germ, and then you walk around it for a while, and you look at it, and you walk away from it, and you come back to it, and yeah, as you say, those are things that he's remembered for 40, 50, 60 years, and suddenly he comes back to it down the line.
Well, I mean, he was also, I think we spoke about a few authors here before and how disciplined they were with their writing as well. I mean, Roald Dahl is so no exception. Every day, I think it was like 10 to 12, 3 to 5, and then, 7 hours in total.
Yeah.
Day after day after day.
In his little shed.
In his little shed. And they said like he was a completely doting father and grandfather, but when he was writing, it was sacred time, and it was at 7 hours. And wow, I get goosebumps just kind of thinking about that, because like 7 hours a day for a prolonged period of time is incredible. And again, it takes the discipline.
Yeah, and he said 6 months to a year, or 9 months to a year, or one of them. Yeah. But it basically put aside a year for each book. So he wasn't just churning these things out. A year is a long time to write a story.
And you rewrite it constantly.
Edit, rewrite.
And then there's that nice monologue at the end of that Netflix series by Ray Fiennes, and I actually read that in the book as well, where he says, this is not an easy job. You have to be your own boss. No one's going to tell you when to work or if it's good enough. Yeah. And if you're a fiction writer, it's even more difficult, because you need to create things that don't exist. And after 2 hours, you will be utterly exhausted to the world, because you've brought these things into being.
Amazing.
Didn't he also say something along the lines of like, the moment you start to think that what you've written is masterful is the moment that you're in trouble?
Yes.
Yeah.
So something along those lines.
Yes. As soon as you think it's good,
It's got to be humility. Yeah. As soon as you think what you've written is good. That's right. Did you hear he was good mates with Hemingway? Did you pick up on that little?
No, I didn't pick that up, because it reminds me of Hemingway that the first draft is always shit, which is Hemingway's quote.
Yeah, and Hemingway has also said, just stay drunk, basically. Which
right drunk, get it sober.
Get it sober, or get somebody else to edit for you so you can just stay drunk.
That's
my take on it.
That one.
But Hemingway taught him, so that's where the 2 hour mark comes in for him. Also, Hemingway always said to him, when you're in full flow and you feel like everything's just flying out of your imagination, so that's the time to stop and walk away. He said, don't finish that thought, because if you finish that thought and you walk away, you don't want to go back. It's done, since you don't. But now if you walk away midway through and go for your break, your 2 hours is up. He said, no matter what I was doing, at 12 o'clock, I'd walk away. And he said, and he learned it from Hemingway. He said, because then I want to go back. Then I can't wait to get back to it. Whereas if I walk away with it complete, I've got no motivation to go back to it.
Wow.
Interesting take on it.
So was it a matter of being true to the clock and stopping after 2 hours, regardless of where you were in your flow? Or was it a matter of kind of when you're in peak flow to
forcefully stop yourself?
Yeah, I was going to say pull out, but then it gets kind of dirty and there's connotations. But is that what he's... Is that which is it? I think a little bit of it.
Yeah, I think
a little bit of both.
I think he was very disciplined, so he stuck to his 10 till 12 and his other set hours later in the day. But he would force himself, I believe, when he was not midway through, but he would try and leave something in the tank. So he wanted to come back.
Because that's interesting. Because I read that he met Ian Fleming during the war years because they were both involved in different parts of intelligence. But Ian Fleming on writing was, and I read this a very long time ago, so I stand corrected, but it was around write 500 words, go for a snorkel, because he wrote in the South where lots of Bond movies are filmed, write 500 words, take a break, write 500 words, and kind of just stick to that and just steamroll through it. And I didn't realize that Roald Dahl wrote the screenplay for You Only Live Twice. Or was a contributing screenwriter to You Only Live Twice, which must have been, would that have been Sean Connery back in the day?
Yeah, I think there was a Connery one.
Sean Connery or Roger Moore?
Yeah, it was Sean Connery. That's incredible.
There we go.
So they must have obviously made the link when they were in the army together and got together after that.
Well, that's intelligence.
Incredible. Yeah, which is quite
something. Fleming was Navy and Dahl was Air Force.
Okay.
He was probably only after they...
He was Air Force, but then he got injured, and they wouldn't let him fly anymore. And then he went into the British Security Coordination, and he was basically a spy for...
Yeah. And I think that's where he met Fleming.
Was hanging out with presidents, celebrities.
Yes, with FDR and Eleanor.
Yes.
There we go.
He's lived a very, very storied life, old Roald Dahl.
Yeah, he said he was supposed to be helping Churchill know where FDR's mind was. Unless he's elaborated on that. He said that's what the information he was feeding back to Britain was where FDR was, what FDR was planning next.
So that Churchill could build a relationship.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to write my autobiography like that one day. Just say I was at the center of all these affairs.
Mm-hmm. But when I was reading Boy talking about a storied life, I was just reading that story, and like as awful as some of the boarding school stories and private school stories are, you just read it and you think, what a rich upbringing he would have had. I think it's a different time of history as well. It's just there is so much, like every summer going back to Norway with the family and just adventuring and being a little bit wild and out there. And I think you're going to get us onto the war years, which is just next level.
I won't necessarily get it, but I think I just think every generation we get a bit softer and more protected and less adventurous.
Yeah, because like he speaks about in Boy, like when they got the first family car, the salesman gave his older sister, the ancient sister from his dad's first marriage, like a 1 hour or 2 hour instruction on how to drive a car, and then the whole family jumped in the car. And this young lady drove the whole family, like literally her first time driving, and it ended poorly, very poorly. But then you read his war years, and it's like again he gets 7 hours flight school
training of it,
and then hop into an ancient biplane and away you go.
Off you go, all the best.
It's kind of awesome though, eh?
That's why that's why that pilot's lifespan was only about 40 hours.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's why we still need to at some stage we have to do Catch 22. But it's so good. But anyway, I won't get onto that now. But just quickly going back to the connection with Ian Fleming through being in the army together. Obviously did the screenplay for James Bond. But you know what else he did the screenplay for? Which was also an Ian Fleming book.
Wasn't Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, was it?
Indeed it was.
Man.
Awesome.
That's incredible. Wow. So he's done 2 screenplays of 2 of Ian Fleming's books.
Okay.
I had no idea that Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I mean,
yeah, I had heard that years ago, but I didn't know. Yeah, Roald Dahl did the screenplay. Very cool.
But here's a potential rabbit hole that we could dig around in our own time, was that if Ian Fleming was using his experience and intelligence and espionage to populate his James Bond story world, is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang evidence that perhaps there was some kind of flubber that was in play that was being used or tested by governments for weaponization or transport means? And he's taken that kernel and created the story of the crazy professor. Whoa, man. Could even be Operation Paperclip. We got some Germans. We got some UFOs. I don't have any sources for this who want to be mentioned, but it could be there.
Well, he was very into his fringe science. Yeah. I mean, it's even within his book and the movie Henry Sugar. So seen without eyes. It's almost like it alludes to like the Nazi era Gestalt psychology. Remote viewing. So 1960s CIA projects into remote viewing, and 1940s Soviet research into skin vision, which was the idea that you could basically make up what is around you based on like the sum of its parts without actually seeing it, but what you using the rest of your senses.
That's crazy because the real guy that Imdad Khan was based on, Khuda Busk or Baksh, he mentioned that he saw with his nostrils, or that he could see with his skin. Ironically enough, he lost his eyesight to glaucoma. I'm not sure if he still did. I'm not sure if he still did his. I'm not sure if he still did his act after that. But I mean, it's kind of tying in. It's kind of tying in with what you're saying there, Dev. And another movie we should do eventually is The Men Who Stare at Goats. If you haven't watched that,
that's due a rewatch.
Okay.
Roald Dahl was blind, sort of blind for 6 weeks after his crash.
Yes, after his plane crash.
I saw that. And
his nose was almost taken clearly off for the second time, because the first time was after his sister got the 1 hour driving lesson. So this is the second time he's almost lost his nose.
The man with no nose.
The man with no nose.
Okay, I got to read that book. The sister sounds like a hoot.
Yeah, because he was out of action for a while after that plane crash.
Yeah, I mean, did he go back to? Oh yeah, no, that was his first one. He did go back to fly with the RAF, because I think he ended up he was a flying ace, Dave, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, he had at least 5 confirmed enemy planes shot down, and then that's when you look at kind of the website. That's kind of verified through all the different historical societies that like can give the stamp of approval, because they've got the evidence from the different sides. But he was involved in some incredible dogfight where I think it was silly odds of Hurricanes against German planes, and his like record of it was that too many Fokkers. He says there were just planes everywhere, and at the end of the day, nobody knew who had shot down what, because it was just it was like what you'd imagine from like kind of a Robotech cartoon, just a complete melee of probably 2 or 3 dozen planes in the sky. But I think in the end account, the French who were watching it from the ground said they were like, and I stand corrected, but like maybe 20 German planes on the ground compared to less than 10 of the Hurricanes on the ground afterwards, and no one's quite sure who was responsible for what there. So he's got 5 confirmed, plus he was involved in that bar fight of a dog fight, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I do love my authors to be hardcore.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like you might be tough, but are you
up next?
Yeah, I was about to say you might be tough, but are you Hemingway tough? And I think Roald Dahl probably fits there. But we spoke about like gentlemen pilots previously, and he's got this one story of they were attacking. They flew out a sortie to attack the Vichy French Air Force while they were still on ground at their base, and he said their squadron came up onto the airfield, and as they were making their approach to attack the planes that were on the runway, they noticed that in typical French style, the pilots had invited women to come look at their powerful machines. And he said, so their squadron came over and they noticed floral dresses and women around the airplanes, and there was drinking wine, there were bottles and everything all over the place. Okay. And the French pilots were entertaining the women and probably trying to seduce them, one would assume. And he says the squadron did not fire. They kind of, they gave up their element of surprise, giving the woman time to run for cover, did a full circle to come back. And by that time, ground defenses had spotted them. And I think they took
scrambled some planes up.
Yeah, they took some damage. I don't know if anybody was lost, but he kind of mentions from there that, his animosity for the Vichy French and that he'll never forgive them for their brutality was even further sealed that day. That they had performed honorably, but then they got nailed for their honorable kind of conduct.
Jeez. So is all his war history in what's his second book? Is it solo?
It's solo, yeah. I think it's but it's going solo. So I think it starts when he leaves England, and it starts off on the ship to Mombasa through the Mediterranean, and he's got some lovely descriptions about the Empire's expats. Brilliant. Which is just really great. So I'm going to jump into that next because boy, it was really good, and I'll hand them down your way when I'm done. You can have a read.
No, I love it when he talks about one of the interviews. He's just talking about how you create. So somebody doesn't just have a nose; they've either got a large nose, and he's just talking about how you create these images in people's heads.
Yes.
And he was talking to another author, and all he does is look at people for little ticks and little abnormalities or little strange, something. And he said, because you've got to create that. He says, you can't just have a normal nose. You can't have normal ears. You can't have normal eyes. They've either got to be beautiful or they've got to be ugly. Or if they're going to be ugly, they've got to be revoltingly ugly. And just the way that does. So I'm looking forward to reading his descriptions of these people, because he seems to have that sort of mind that looks for these things. He doesn't just see a face. He sees the weirdness.
And I think maybe to be a writer, that's like maybe one of the skills that the writer has to have, is to kind of watch constantly. And because you plagiarize from the real world. You have your compost heap, or you have your little kernel that you've collected somewhere and you keep them. And then you let them just brew and ferment. And you go from
and every
there.
character's a composite of people you've met before.
Absolutely,
always observing, taking in people's idiosyncrasies, characteristics, some combination of people, places, times.
Yeah, I liked one now. I've got one more little thing on Roald Dahl. He talks about it's the fact that he's writing these children's books.
Yeah,
it's almost like he's never grown up. And he says in another interview that he says, I'm very fortunate in that I've got the sense of humor of a child, or I share a child's sense of humor. And he says he loves, one of his favorite things is watching sport on TV. And no matter what it is, he watches all sports. But he says when he's lying in bed at night, all he's imagining is possibly the story he's writing and where it's going to go. He said, other than that, most of the time, it's him winning the British Open or making 100 at Lords, or he's got this sort of boy's own adventure mindset where I wonder if I could do that. And he says he goes for hours in these little daydreams of being the guy, scoring the winning try at Twickenham, or hitting 100 at Lords to defeat the Aussies. And I mean, that's awesome. I mean, we've all had those little daydreams, but the fact that he admits it, and he says that basically every night of his life he lies there thinking about himself winning some sports championship.
I'm sure Thors is still thinking about it to this day.
No, I am. Don't you worry. I haven't peaked yet. It's still coming. But on that, when he was at Repton High School, so he absolutely, as we've already discussed, he hated corporal punishment. He hated the fagging system and the prefect system. He was captain of squash and a game called Fives, which is, I'll chat about now, which sounds fascinating. And I think he was the only boy in the school's history who was a captain of sport who didn't make it as a school prefect or a house prefect. And he
Okay.
said it suited him just fine because he was completely disgusted with the system. But apparently it was pretty good. But listen to this game called Fives. This sounds like my idea for kind of the T20 of golf that I want to put out there. So it's Fives is played by 2 or 4 individuals in a confined court using a small ball, like a squash ball, and gloved hands.
Okay.
So it's almost like that American game with the gloved hands, but you're playing in a court and the walls aren't necessarily straight. There are objects jutting out of them and obstacles. So the ball has a lot of chance of going in all kinds of directions.
Oh,
and
wow.
I just read his account and I haven't had time to look for any video of it. But he said his school, Repton, had courts for it, and they were glass domes.
Wow!
Where you'd go play, and it was just incredibly fast paced, and no physical contact, but required cunning and speed and a sharp eye. And it's a sport I've never heard of, but it was was a big enough sport back in those days that it was something you'd become a captain for, which sounds really, really
Brilliant.
cool.
Oh, geez, bring that back.
Yeah,
bring it back. Like the wall game at Eton. Did you that was played
Eton
this
Fives.
last week? No, the wall game.
What's
you
the
heard
wall
of that?
game? No.
To be honest, I don't. I've just read about it. In so many people talk about it, but I've never actually understood what it is. But it's played up against the wall, and for the first time in nearly 110 years, somebody nearly scored a goal this week.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nearly. So there hasn't been a goal scored in 110 years.
Dude, I want to learn more about this game. I am fascinated.
So we'll have to look it up properly, and I'll find out the rules for next time. I'll find footage.
Okay.
Are they just not that good?
Sorry?
Are they just not that good?
Yeah, they're just British sports people. Yeah, they haven't bought the South Africans yet. Yeah.
It might be as difficult as the new format I want to introduce to golf. You know it, Dave.
Okay.
Dave, do you know my new golf format?
No.
So you take an existing squash court, exactly like a squash court. You have a hole in the wall, the front wall of the squash court, that's exactly the size of a golf ball with maybe a millimeter's tolerance on the circumference.
Okay.
You've got 2 teams of 3 in the squash court at the same time on the serving line, all facing the front wall with little tees that balance on the wooden floor with golf balls. And they all tee off at the same time. And the first team has a ball that gets through the hole, or the team with the last man standing wins. I mean, I'm talking about a sport that takes 5 seconds.
Can you reload as quick as you want?
You can reload. No, I haven't even thought about that, but this is why it's good to share ideas, because that sounds amazing.
It's not going to be because it's not going to happen quickly. It's going to be a lot of chance.
A match will be over in 5 seconds. A match is going to be over in 5-10 seconds. Either the ball goes through the hole, or there's one guy left standing for a split second before he gets pipped. I would watch that.
Yeah, definitely.
We could call them chuckers, we could call them halves. Doesn't really matter. Yeah. Whatever rhymes with the sponsor's product.
There's a few golfers I'd like to see in that little celebrity death match.
Sorry, we digress.
I think that's going to lead me nicely onto my Bill Murray fact.
I'm glad you found that. Come.
No, I found a few Bill Murray ones, but I don't know if this one I've read a few times before. And I've actually got
Bill
a book.
Murray is a staple of Wes Anderson films.
Correct. Exactly right.
All of them. He almost does them for free, basically.
Yeah.
In fact, he lost money on one of them. I think didn't he pay? Did he write him a check for $25,000?
Well, apparently, everybody gets paid the same
union
thing.
wage sometimes.
Oh, really? Okay.
I read somewhere and I heard somewhere that the one interview I heard, Bill Murray said, "No, I'm keen. Just that doesn't matter about the contract. Just pay me what everybody else gets." But another interview I read was that because Wes Anderson has like a troupe approach, that he's always got the same group of actors within his movies. And some movies you might be a bit part, some movies you might be like a lead character, but everybody gets paid the same wage, and I stand corrected, gets paid the same for the movie. So there's no star, there's no person who's above everybody else. And when he makes movies, they don't have a set with trailers and individual trailers. They'll rent out a hotel for the entire production, and everybody stays in the hotel. Everybody comes down to the dining room and has breakfast and meals together at the same time, and hops on a golf cart with Wes Anderson to go to the set. So you rock up for breakfast dressed for the set. You might not be shooting today, but you rock up, you chow breakfast, but you live together, and that's the vibe.
The team approach.
Yeah.
You're holding tackle bags for the day if you're not in the starting 15.
Yeah. And I think that's why things work so magically, because everybody kind of understands each other and you've got a shorthand. You know what's going to happen. Yeah. Sorry, I took you away from Bill Murray.
No. I know we're going to go back to him. We'll have to find an entire episode for Bill Murray. But just the one story I've heard a few times. I've got there's a book here that I'm holding up.
The Tower of Bill Murray.
Yeah. It's not brilliantly written, but it's got all the little stories, the ones where he goes to a frat party and does the dishes and things like that. Yeah. But this one's, there was a movie, Roadhouse, in 1989 with Patrick Swayze and Kelly Lynch.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just been remade, but...
Oh, has it? Okay.
Yeah, but the original's better, yeah.
Well, I don't know, but apparently it's not a one. Dave's just gone one walkabout.
No, sorry, I was looking for my big bad book of Bill Murray. That's what it's called.
Nice. Okay,
nice.
I can't find it somewhere.
I feel left out.
We're going to do a book swap. But so in the movie Roadhouse, so there's a producer called Mitch Glazer, and he produced Scrooge with Bill Murray.
I'm dying to watch that movie again, especially because it's Christmas. Yeah. We got to find that.
Yeah, there we go. That could be our Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But his wife is Kelly Lynch, an actress, and she is the love interest in Roadhouse. So every time, and Roadhouse apparently gets played on US television all the time. It's like a cult classic, so it's always on TV on one of the channels. And Bill
Very
Murray
raunchy for the 80s.
Yeah, and they're always watching TV. Apparently, the Murray brothers just watch telly. That's their thing. But every time that movie's on, doesn't matter what time of the morning, Mitch Glazer will get a phone call from Bill Murray. He does it in his Carl Spackler voice from Caddyshack. That's the time. And he'll say, Kelly's having sex with Patrick Swayze right now. Patrick Swayze's fucking your wife. He's got her up against the rocks. Now he's got her up against the wall. No. Patrick Swayze's banging your wife. It's like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, midnight. It was funny the first dozen or so times, but after that, it's just. But I think there's 3 Murray brothers. Yeah, exactly. 30 years later, and it doesn't matter. One of the Murray brothers will phone Mitch Glazer. Patrick Swayze banging your wife.
That's great.
That's really good.
Going back to just talking about how like they all hang out together. So like I know like in Grand Budapest Hotel, they all stayed in the one hotel. They've been all 8 together, did everything together. And apparently when Bill Murray's on set, he's playing poker with the guys. He's buying drinks for all the crew. He's just like, he's like part of the furniture there. And I think he's managed to like build a really cool community in amongst not only the crew, but like the troupe that he uses. And my question is, have these guys become famous because of Wes Anderson, or has Wes Anderson become famous because of these guys? Because their lives are very intertwined.
Yeah.
Oh, Dev Patel last year was voted in the top and Time's 100 most influential people in the world.
Oh, really?
Seriously?
Yeah.
I don't know much about what else he does.
But didn't he start in Slumdog Millionaire?
Slumdog Millionaire. He also did Monkey Man, which was very highly critically acclaimed. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was Slumdog Millionaire was the guy who did Trainspotting, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. But I didn't realize Dev Patel was Slumdog.
That was his break. I think. And then Grand Budapest was after that, unless I'm mistaken. But Slumdog was it not the same guy who did Trainspotting? Hard to say. Anyway.
Was it? Sure, could have been.
Nobody knows.
There's probably a few people that know.
It's contested. The Wikipedia page has been taken down.
Oh, well, yeah, and my internet's slow, so it's not coming up. But anyway.
So Dev, what's made him make the list for most influential? What else does he do?
He's a filmmaker as well. He's just, and I think he's just been a lot of a lot of movies. He made a lot of things. I think he does quite a lot of work off apart from the filmmaking and that as well. Don't quote me on that though.
Okay.
But yeah, like a lot of the movies he's done have been like, really like powerful movies. He did Lion, did Hotel Mumbai. So he's done some really, really big movies where he's been involved, like in front of the camera and behind the camera.
Okay. And movies that are nourishing, to go back to that kind of metaphor. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he gets recognized a lot because he's obviously British. So he gets recognized a lot by the guilds and the awards ceremonies over there. And I think they place a very high price on what he has to say.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
Which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And it was Danny Boyle did Train Spotting and Slumdog.
Okay.
Danny Boyle was the director.
Okay.
My last fact on the whole thing was Spike Milligan, Thor's.
Yeah.
He was... So Roald Dahl wanted Spike Milligan to play Willy Wonka in the original movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But they screen tested
incredible.
The producers didn't want him. He didn't like Gene Wilder. He said he was too soft, not eccentric enough.
I saw that. Yeah, he was not a fan of Gene Wilder. Didn't want it made.
Yeah.
And then actually went and told the production house, whatever it's called, that they were not allowed to touch the Great Glass Elevator, and they're not allowed to make a movie about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think after that first one, he kind of pulled away completely from movie or film rights for his books because he didn't enjoy it. Because I think he was meant to write the screenplay, and then he didn't meet the deadline, and somebody else got the screenplay. And I think his biggest thing was that movie. So Gene Wilder was like really great in that film, but I think one of his points was that the film focuses very much on Willy Wonka and not on Charlie's story. So even now, if you think about that movie, you think about Gene Wilder, you think about Willy Wonka. Yeah. Even the subsequent movies made are about Wonka.
You think about
Johnny Depp.
But it's never about.
You think about
Charlie.
Johnny Depp. You think about Timothy Chalamet. Yeah, you don't think about Charlie.
I haven't watched the new one with Timothy Chalamet. I'm dying to. But again, that's Wonka's story, not Charlie's story. But then,
interesting. Yeah, and I can imagine because that would have been his first foray into it. Was that the first of his books to be made into film?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it must have been because you've got the image in your head, and if somebody else takes it in a completely different direction, and you've put years of your life into creating that must be bloody hard as an author to hand over control.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes Wes Anderson's relationship so much more significant. Is that he got Fantastic Mr. Fox. There's an interview of him sitting with Felicity Dahl, the widow. I think when they made Fantastic Fox or the other one, they worked out of Gypsy House because it was important for the family that people who were going to carry his work forward or interpret his work saw where he worked and could feel the energy of where he worked, and that space, his shed apparently hasn't been changed at all. It's been maintained and kept. And like the scene with Rafe Fiennes, and there's like a happy birthday thing on the back wall.
Yes.
When you look at go to YouTube and look at the 1980s interview, or look at old Wes Anderson having a tour of the shed, it is that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so like the space has been kept almost like completely sacred because that space was a critical component of the art, which sounds amazing.
Yeah, I want a writing shed.
Yeah, me too.
With a bar.
Yeah, definitely with a bar.
Yeah, and a fives court.
and a fives court. Yeah.
That's right. I think Roald Dahl's estate was very respectful of Wes Anderson, the way he's handled his work. So I think he'll definitely be able to do a lot more in the future as well if he wanted to.
Yeah, because there are a few more short stories there.
Yeah. And I mean, and they obviously are. I mean, these short stories are definitely not children's stories. Like they're pretty dark.
No,
this one's pretty fucking dark, man.
But they're so beautiful and so nourishing.
They are.
The nourishment value is there. It pulls you in It's like, what's the one analogy old Neil Gaiman uses? It's like, it's real nourishment compared to sweetener that has no caloric value, that tricks you into thinking you're eating, but you're still empty and you're going to have no energy. But you know, when you watch those short stories, it's like, I'm not just distracted. I am participating, I am stimulated, and I am nourished. It's a very different kind of thing. And I think that's why we started this podcast, was to pay attention to things. And
to get into
for ourselves, very selfishly, to pay attention and to have that kind of level of stimulation.
No, that's true. Absolutely right.
Like, I mean, and the rat catcher, you know, like the way that, you know, the rat catcher, like how that whole short story progresses, and how the rat catcher, you know, essentially it's becoming like, in order to catch a rat, you have to be a rat.
Yes.
And it's like, it's that whole Nietzsche's aphorism, you know, whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process one does not become a monster. So if you stare into the abyss will gaze back into you. And there you can see, I mean, the way this guy ends up, you know, biting and killing the rats with his, like, literally with his, not with his bare hands, with his bare mouth. Yeah, like that's he's become a monster, but he's quite happy to be one though.
But with the rat catcher, also what I loved so much was that kind of that participation, is that they go through the effort of having the stop motion rat doing its thing.
Yeah.
But then when Rafe Fiennes is showing you the rat poison, he digs in his pockets and he pulls out his empty hands and he's miming a tin. And that whole scene is like a minute or 2 minutes, and he's miming a tin. And everything else has had the effort of actually, let's have a prop. But it draws you in and it invites you, because you have to now bring that piece. You can't just sit, like Dave said earlier, you can't sit on your phone and be watching TikToks. You can't be expecting the Marvel universe to be rammed down your throat. You've got to meet the storytelling halfway, which is awesome.
Yeah, and he brings out a ferret and a rat, but again, like, you know, like you say, he's had props everywhere, but there's nothing in his hands, and he's holding it very tightly by the neck, and he's got the ferret there. They come very close together.
This reminds me of our Black Mamba Man discussion. Inside me, there's a mongoose and a cobra, but inside my shirt, there is both a rat and a mongoose
and a ferret.
Sorry, inside my shirt, there is both a rat and a ferret. Which one will survive?
I've always got one or two rats about me.
Yeah.
Always got one or two rats about me.
So accent.
While I was looking up the rat catcher and looking up rats and rat catchers, so that they used to be a thing, and then looking up for snakes and the crates go into other short story poison. And
nice,
looking up snake wranglers. I came across this one blog, and this guy was talking about he's been living in Oz for the last 17 years, whatever it is, and he's got snakes in his shed, and you can't just kill them. You have to take them out very, very carefully and release them back into the wild. So he went to a snake training and sausage event.
No, nice.
That sounds like a perfect link between them.
Now, my mind immediately went to, obviously serving sausage at the snake training event, which they were, but it's a specific sausage purely made for snakes called retelling.
Retelling, snake sausage. Okay.
Retelling. Snake sausage. So I'm not sure if we find any rumbles in there.
No, well, it is kind of, it links back to, like, I was completely shocked to discover how Roald Dahl passed over, the cause of his death.
I didn't.
How did he die?
No, they were on a ferry across to Oslo. No, on a ferry going back to visit Norway.
He's on a ferret.
And he dropped his sausage over the edge of the ferry, and when he leant in to grab it, a giant fucking squid pulled him off the deck and killed him.
It checks out.
And all that was left was this HB pencil floating on the sea, and this copy of Paddington Bear. I couldn't believe it when I read it.
And it's,
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about books that he hasn't written but possibly could have written, that floats.
Yeah.
in Poison.
Yeah.
Did you see the book that's Benedict Cumberbatch's character? Was it Harry or Henry Brooke? I can't remember. But the book that he was reading.
Yeah.
No.
It was called The Golden Lotus, which is the English translation from the initial Chinese book, which was banned due to sexual content, 1611 all the way through the last few centuries. It was most recently ban was lifted in the 1980s.
Oh wow! Okay.
Which leads one to think, what kind of a snake was this guy worried about while he was lying there, terrified, reading a sexual book from 1600s of China.
That's interesting. And what was taboo about it? The fact that it was sex, or was there specific kinds of sex or relationships?
Yeah, no. Like it was, I think only about, it was a massive book, but I think it was only about 3% of the book was actually like sexual content, whatever. But it was about
3%. You say
3%. Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't massive, but like
it's about the same as my life. Then that's uncanny.
Well, depending on the duration of your life, 3% is pretty good.
Yes, so far. Remember, those numbers can go down.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty disciplined with myself. Are you talking about other people?
7 hours a day.
In my shed.
Under my little table.
With the rapture lights. So it was actually about a corrupt merchant's life who lived in a polygamous household. So he had like 6 concubines and all that kind of stuff. And then the one wife tried to use sex to basically control him and kind of like lord over the other wives and that. But interesting that he was reading that book because it's not mentioned in Roald Dahl's actual story. However, in his original manuscript, it was mentioned in a paragraph that was crossed out and did not make it into the final copy, which is fascinating. So whether he was trying to convey a message that the guy lying down, because essentially there was no snake there, and he just became very racial towards the doctor.
Yes, yeah.
And I think like the whole picture from that short story is, he's obviously. It's in British colonial India. The guy's probably also suffering. He's a soldier, probably suffering from like serious PTSD, but basically kind of showing. I think like the reflection of this book being there is kind of showing that he was actually the one that's kind of corrupt, and I think the book's almost like a reflection on his life because of the way that he then acts towards the doctor
at the end. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Whether that was the reason behind it or not, but I just found it very interesting.
That's one to watch again, and probably one to read. Properly.
Yeah. And that's what I think Wes Anderson has done so well. He's managed to literally take the words off of Roald Dahl's book and put it into movie, even though it's kind of like a theater stage movie, but he's been able to put it into picture.
I was just saying, how good was Benedict in that, where he spent 99% lying still and not moving, but still acting. I mean, that was quite something.
Definitely had a different mind.
Yeah.
But I hear your thoughts on the Norwegian sort of, those dark, that film noir type stuff, or is that the wrong phrase?
No, maybe not film noir, but just that the same as some of the Scottish stuff, where you cross a certain line of latitude.
Yeah.
Where you have less sunlight. The storytelling is different. The Scottish detective dramas compared to the English detective dramas. there's a notable difference. And if you get to watch like Scandinavian detective or Scandinavian stories, it's completely different to our Western formulaic stuff we've been force-fed. But there's also just there's a little bit of a darkness, but it's delicious. You know, it's for lack of a better way to put it. So Dave, before we went onto this kind of Scandinavian rabbit hole, you spoke about how he's got a different brain. And one of the things I read was he was discussing his crash and how he was blind and how he had his brain was swollen and he was in a coma and he was and there's a line somewhere, I don't have the quote in front of me, but where he attributes his creativity and his storytelling to that head injury.
Yes.
That head trauma.
His wife mentions it. Yeah.
Okay.
She says something had changed in him and he believed he could tell stories after that or something along those lines.
Okay.
But I suppose if you're blind for 6 weeks, your imagination.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's a muscle, isn't it? It's I don't know. Again, this
you
could
practice
fact
it.
checked. But if you're imagining all day long, you're developing an imagination. You're developing stories in your head. You're keeping yourself amused. That's all we need to do is just blindfold ourselves for 6 weeks, and we'll all be world-renowned authors.
There we go.
If we've exhausted the facts, I've got something on his which ties back to the Norwegian and Scandinavian influence that might be nice to tie up for before we start discussing the next episode.
Yep.
Can we cool?
That's it.
So there was one thing there. When he was young, his mom would always tell him traditional Norwegian myths and legends. And he always maintained that his mother and her stories had a strong influence on his writing. And that the grandmother character in Witches is almost like a doff of the hat to his mom being that strong female character and influence. And then, according to his granddaughter, when he passed away, they gave him what she called a sort of a Viking funeral. So when he was buried, they buried him with snooker cues. So one assumes he enjoyed playing snooker, burgundy, chocolates, HB pencils, and a power saw.
What? Okay.
Power saw?
Which is amazing because, so we can cut it off in power saw. But there's a movie that involves a chainsaw that I want to, as soon as I find it, I'm going to nominate it. But that's kind of cool that his family have kept this kind of quirkiness through. And he was buried with all this stuff. I assume the power saw is to dig out of the grave. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's got some wine, he's got his pencils,
he's got chocolate. Cross over the other side. Bring a power saw and some chocolate.
Verse walls.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And your copy of Paddington.
Yeah.
Some sausages.
And the Cannibal Holocaust, just in case they've got a projector screen.
That's what the power saw is for.
Exactly. You got more space to pack chocolate. If you can treat Cannibal Holocaust like a tutorial as opposed to entertainment, then you don't need to pack food.
It's more of a how-to than anything like brutal, you know.
Yeah,
exactly.
And he's got the right wine for it as well. He goes
survival book.
Yeah.
Pair with red.
He goes really well with human flesh.
Yeah. Red goes with terror. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening. Join us next time as we spread some festive cheer and peak 1980s nostalgia with Boney M's Christmas album. Until next time.
Here are some of the qualities you should possess or should try to acquire if you wish to become a fiction writer. You should have a lively imagination. You should be able to write well. By that I mean, you should be able to make a scene come alive in the reader's mind. Not everybody has this ability. It is a gift. And you either have it or you don't. You must have stamina. In other words, you must be able to stick to what you're doing and never give up. For hour after hour, day after day, week after week, month after month.